Hey friends, it's Judy Klock here, your Stampin' Up, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. And I am coming to you today for the second in my series of Let's Get Started with Paper Crafting. So last week, I spoke about the 5 tools that you must have to get started. So let's review those real quick. One is obviously a paper trimmer with both a cutting blade and a storing blade, and I always forget to switch my video. So a paper trimmer, cutting blade, scoring blade. We said you need a good pair of paper snips, right, to cut our paper and our ribbons. We need a bone folder to get those nice crisp creases in our paper. Then we need our take your pick tool for adding embellishments. And then of course, our last one was our Stampin' Pierce mat. And I said the reason you need this is when you're using photopolymer stamps. So what exactly are photopolymer stamps versus cling stamps, also known as red rubber stamps? Well, let's take a look. So these were 2 of the stamp sets from our current mini catalog. They're part of the product suite known as Oh Holy Night. So we have our Night Divine stamp set and our Stars at Night. Now, if you look up here, I don't know if you can see it, it says this is a cling stamp set, which means it's red rubber. It's got that, the stamps have that cushioning on them so that when you stamp and you press down, you've sort of got a cushion to kind of help get a nice even adhesive. Okay, this Stars at Night, as you can see, is our photopolymer stamp set, which means they are clear rubber, plastic. I guess they're more rubber. So, but there's, you notice there's no cushion. It's just the stamp. Okay, so sometimes when you use these on a hard surface like a wood table or a plastic table and you don't have a cushion, you don't really get good ink coverage when you press down. So we're going to take a look at the difference now. And you'll notice there's no blocks. These don't have any blocks. These are just stamps. So you need something to put these on so that you can stamp with them. So we have a whole series of clear blocks. They come in different sizes. Let's move these out. So you would need a series of clear blocks to get started. So we've got some that are more rectangular or square in nature, and then we've got some that are more oblong, because sometimes you get like a long skinny stamp. So these are what you would have. Now there is one more. I don't have it over here. It is a very large block. It is for a background stamp, a very large background stamp. A background stamp would be almost the size of this case. They're very large and they're a bit unwieldy, so I don't want to start off with them for a beginner video. But if you only have to buy like 1 or 2 blocks to get started with, I highly recommend a D block. This is called, it's D. It's a D size block. It's D block. The majority of stamps will fit on a D block. Okay, and then I would maybe get one of the oblong blocks in case you get something that's a little bit longer and skinny, but it wouldn't fit on here, but it would fit on this. This is an H block, an H size block. So if you're only going to start, if you're only going to get 2, these are the 2 I would recommend. Probably 95% of our stamps will fit on one of these 2. Now, the reason you want some of these smaller blocks is because sometimes you have a very small stamp. And the smaller blocks are good because when you put a small stamp on a large block, that gives you a lot of area for error. Okay, so sometimes if you don't like tap, tap, tap on the ink pad and you just like smush it down, you're going to get ink on all of these edges, which then could transfer to your paper. So eventually you do want to get these different sized blocks because you want to make sure that you have all the right sizes for all of the stamps, the various stamps that you're going to have. So let's take a look. So let's stamp. Here is our Oh Holy Night. I'm sorry, Night Divine. And we're going to pull out this stamp. This says the stars are brightly shining. So now we're going to take this. Now this is a little bit wider than my D block. So I would probably put it on the angle like that. Okay, so it's on like a diamond shape. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to get out my, let's get out a stamp pad. Okay, now I am going to go tap, tap, tap. Okay, notice I'm just kind of like tapping it on there. I'm not pushing it down very heavily. Okay, and I'm going to just come here and I'm going to stamp straight down. I'm not rocking it, and I'm going to come straight up. And I've got a great adhesion, a great look at everything. There's no like light spots. I got good coverage with my ink. All right, so that was good. I'm going to close that up because I do make a mess. Now let's look at our photopolymers. Okay, let's take one of our small ones. Okay, so here I've got this little small one, and let's say the only other block I have is this. Now that's a lot of surface area, right, where I could get in trouble and I could get some ink on something else. So let's say I'm taking out my stamp pad, all right, and I decide I'm not going to go tap, tap, tap. I'm going to smush that down. Now look, got ink there, and I've got ink there. And if I go to put this on my paper, all right, and I rock it, well, now look at that. I've got that ink there. So I don't want that, right? I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So again, I would just go tap, 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 and I would stamp it down. Now, I may see how I didn't get good coverage because there's no give here. So that's when I would pull in my Stampin' Pierce mat. All right, and let's try that one more time. Now I know I have ink on here, so I have to be careful, right? And I'm just going to kind of stamp this. I'm going to go straight down, straight up. Now look at that. I got a great clear stamp, and look at how much darker it is than these. And I got full image, not like over here. So adding the Stampin' Pierce mat definitely makes a difference when you are using the photopolymers. Let's try it one more time. Let's try a different one. Let's see. I think it'll fit on this block. Okay, we got our Merry Christmas. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, I'm just going to tap it. Okay, I've got no ink on my block. Look at how well that fits. I don't think I would want to go with a smaller block. If I look at a small, maybe I could, but I think this is on the right size block for this size stamp. Now this would also fit, this would clearly fit on our D size, right? So like I said, the majority of our stamps will fit on the D size. And there we go, another great adhesion. If I took this off, and I didn't do that, and I just went down. Okay, so not too bad, but I can see some messes here that I don't see over there. So those are our differences between our cling stamps and our red rubber stamps. And then it's so easy. So to clean them, you're going to want to get a stamping chamois. This is just like a sponge. It's well loved because it's been well used. You're going to wet it down. And if it dries out, don't worry about it. Just re-wet it and it'll become flexible again. About once every 2 weeks, I take these, I throw them in like a lingerie bag, and I throw them in my washing machine with like a load of rags to make sure that I get all of that ink out of them. Don't bother putting them in the dryer. Just take them out. And these are our stamp cases that we sell. It comes in packs of 4. And I just clean them up. Now to clean up these, I just kind of rub them on that chamois, right? There we go. You can see now I still got some ink on there. I'm going to kind of, that's when I smushed it down into that ink pad, which we don't want to do. All right. Then we just rub them, clean them off. They're good to go. Then we just peel them off of our blocks. Just peel them off. Okay, we put them back in here. You'll notice our photopolymers come, here we go. I'm just going to peel this one off. Okay, it's hard to do one-handed for sure. And stick that there. So at a glance, I know that all of my stamps are here because all of my printed images are covered. So that one is complete. Now with our red rubber stamps, we don't have that stamped image, but it'll tell you here that there are 6 stamps in this set. So if I look here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my 6th stamp. I just pull it off. Now, sometimes, let me just say, sometimes with these, they get very, when they first come out, this sticky cling thing is very sticky. And you saw some of them times they're hard to pick up. Like this one might be a little bit hard. That one wasn't too bad. Okay, because I've used these quite a bit. Like this one is sticking. So sometimes I'll just take it and I'll just take like my coat, my shirt, and I just kind of like use the fuzz on the shirt to kind of take off some of that tackiness. Okay, and that's okay because you don't have to be so hard that you can't even lift them up. So here's an example of a stamp that would not fit on our D block because it's so much wider. So for this one, you would have to have, I think it's the F block. No, E block. So see, that fits so much better on the E block. But out of the 6 in here, that is the only one that really would not fit on a D block. So like I said, the majority of these will fit on a D block. So if you're only going to get one, that's what I recommend. Again, here, this is the only one that wouldn't fit on a D block. And this one's really long. But this one, we would use that nice long one. That's why I said to get the square one and the long skinny one. So that with these two, the vast majority, I think even this one, we could, if we turned it on an angle, we could manage to get that on a D block. And maybe it's just like a skosh small for a D block, but you might make it work. So again, those are my recommendations for buying your blocks. Definitely get a D block, and if you can, get the H block. Start off with these two. With these two, you will have the majority of the stamps that you can stamp with. Okay, and then as your budget allows, go ahead and add in the other sizes. And if you're wondering why I have washi tape on my blocks, it's because when I go to events and if I bring my blocks, it's easy to identify which blocks are mine when I have washi tape on them. So that's all. That's the only reason why I have that on there, because I travel with these. So this way I know that those are my blocks. So if I let someone borrow them, I can tell immediately, like, that's my block because I have the washi tape on it. So that's it. I hope you found this helpful. The difference between our cling stamps and our photopolymers, right? With our photopolymers, we definitely want to make sure that we have our Stampin' Pierce mat, right? Because that's going to help us get that good ink coverage when we stamp down. And then make sure you have the right size blocks. And you're good to go. So we'll see what we do next week. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave comments down below. I'm happy to answer them if you have questions to help you get started. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator yet, I would love to be your demonstrator. And if you are not on my email list, make sure there's a link down below, just below this video in the description. I'm trying to figure out where the camera angle is. Right down in the description will be a link to sign up for my email. That's it, everybody. Happy stamping. Hope you have a great day. Bye.